I do try to think the best of people. But I lost hope in you even before the war. That surprised her, but she did not show it. This is not a place for hope, little lion. But it is a place for reason. Overly gentle and trusting you may be, but I do not think you a fool. I see. You're going to attempt to convince me that I should help the jailer destroy the cycle of life and death. He laughed softly, shaking his head. No, I am certainly not the fool here. Sylvanas had reached the invisible border of Anduin's prison. She could enter and exit as she wished, and the tray of food and water passed easily through the barrier. She knew he had not had water for a day, had been denied food even longer. Yet Anduin simply glanced at the food, then back at her with narrowed eyes. Sylvanas pushed down her irritation and bit back a sharp retort. Then, to his visible surprise, she sat on the stone floor and cocked an eyebrow at him. Eat. I do not need to resort to poison. Any harm I wish to do, you would not be able to prevent. No. So this was how it was to be. It was fine with her. He was quite literally a captive audience, and she had come to say much. I told you before, we wish you to join us willingly. I know you have empathy and compassion. That has been a weakness for you, but also a strength. So I will tell you how it was that I came to be the jailer's partner, and why I think you should be too. I will share with you things I have shared with no one before. It cost her nothing. Anduin would serve, or he would be used. Either way, any words spoken within these dark halls would never be shared with another mortal soul. Not when her victory was so close at hand. Anduin cocked his head and looked at her, searchingly. As if mocking her, he sat, somehow graceful, if clanking, in his armor. He reached for the water, toasted her, and drank. Go on then, Sylvanas Windrunner. Tell me these truths you have never shared. It would seem I have nothing but time. Part 1. With Love and Courage. Vareth Windrunner. Chapter 1. Let me see, Verisa begged. The balcony walls, white and curving as the throat of a swan, were too tall for her to peer over, and Sylvanas sighed. She cast a final longing look at the crowd milling below, then darted back into their chambers for a stool. As Verisa happily clambered atop it, Sylvanas returned her attention to the scene. Their parents did host some gatherings. Father said it was prudent to do so from time to time. But they were usually small affairs. While Lord Vareth Windrunner was one of King Anasterian's most trusted advisors, and his wife Larissa was the Ranger General of Silvermoon, lesser nobles like the ostentatious Lord Salthoril threw much more lavish celebrations. But Larissa had little patience with pretense and politics, and their quietly brilliant father's idea of a fine evening was a glass of wine, a good book, and candles to read by. But today, everything was different. Some of those gathered at the base of the spire were nobility.